Today's video is brought to you by Raycon. Go to buyraycon.com/Kendall Rae for 15% off your order today. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, crazy times we're in right now, huh? I have to say it feels kind of weird just getting on here and acting normal and making videos as if there's not a pandemic going on in the world right now that I know all of you are probably being affected by in some way. But many of you have told me how having content during this time is really getting you through it, giving you a distraction, and today's video should definitely do that for you. It's confusing and weird, and I'm still trying to make sense of it all. Today I'm going to be telling you about two missing minors, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this case. It's gotten a ton of media coverage. So many people have talked about it. We actually did a podcast on it back in January, but so much has happened since we recorded that episode that I really wanted to get on here and make a video that kind of just lays everything out and try to make sense of this madness. Of course, this is an ongoing case. There will be information that comes out after this video goes up. I probably will have to do an updated version at some point, hopefully when we get more information, hopefully. I honestly thought we would have more by now, but we don't. But there have been some updates, some new details that have come out just in the past week even. I thought it would make the most sense to just kind of go over some of the people that are involved with this. First of all, Joshua Jackson, or JJ Vallow, who is 7 years old, and he is the son of Lori and Charles, who I will explain who they are in a second. He is their adopted son, and he also has autism.
JJ had a remarkable memory. He was reading at 3. He was doing math at 3. And the books he read was not See the Rabbit Run. It was books.
Turn out the lights. The party's over.
Larry and Kay Woodcock are JJ's biological grandparents. The Woodcocks kept in close touch with their grandson, often FaceTiming from their home in Louisiana.
And I'd talk, and the first thing he always says, "Papa."
What's your new favorite toy? Show Mama Papa.
Go!
His family said that he was always smiling, he was always making jokes, he was just an upbeat kid. And he had an older sister named Tylee. Now they're not biologically related as JJ was adopted, but Tylee and JJ were really close. Now Tylee is 17. She is Lori's daughter biologically from a previous marriage. She's described as clever, witty, spunky, fun, and the family was really well loved by people that knew them, like family friends. They report that they were really nice people, that they were generous and friendly and outgoing, and people liked to hang out with them. Tylee had a lot of friends, and her friends said that Lori was really nice to them. So who exactly is Lori? Lori Vallow is 48 years old, and she is also a Mormon. She was very into being part of the LDS community and really loved her religion. So Lori has actually been married 5 times. Her first marriage was in 1992, and they didn't have any kids, and there's not much detail out about that as of right now. That marriage ended pretty quickly. Then in October of 1995, Lori gets married again to this guy named William, and they have a son named Colby. But eventually she got divorced from William as well. So then in 2001, Lori married her 3rd husband, and his name was Joseph Ryan, and they had Tylee Ryan together. Then in 2004, she ends up getting a divorce from Joseph. In 2006, the cycle continues, and she marries her 4th husband, who is named Charles Vallow. Charles is known as a really nice guy. He's a successful businessman, and before they got married, he was actually a Catholic, but converted to the LDS church after being with Lori. So then in 2014, they adopted JJ. So before all this happened, Lori and Charles were living in Chandler, Arizona. But eventually, at the end of 2014, they decided to move to Hawaii with the kids. Kauai to be exact, which is a beautiful island. Charles and Lori had opened some type of juice bar, smoothie bar situation in Kauai, and that's why they moved there with the kids. And they all really enjoyed this. I mean, no one was opposed to the move. And Lori even flew one of Tylee's friends out for the summer to hang out with her so she wouldn't be lonely.
Her family was kind of like my second family. I would even like to call her mom my mom.
So it shows how much Lori cared about her daughter, and Tylee was very happy. People who were around them described them as a normal family, that they were all getting along really well, and everything was good, or it seemed. But while they were in Hawaii, Lori was first introduced to this writer named Chad Daybell. Now, Chad is an interesting fella, okay? He's got a lot of crazy thoughts up top. He's really known for his series called Standing in Holy Places. The series that he wrote contains 5 different books that are basically about how the current world is a total mess. He says that we're failing, that we have, really fallen off track, we're confused and misled, and that the world's basically going to come to an end and the people will suffer for what we've done here on Earth. And in his books, he talks about how the LDS people need to deal with it. Now, I want to point out that Chad is not a typical LDS member. He is definitely what you would consider to be radical. He has a lot of really out there beliefs that I don't think actually line up with the Mormon church. He has just taken everything that much further. At this time in Chad's life, he was married to this woman named Tammy, and they had 5 kids together. They were living in Utah at the time, and they also owned a small book publishing company called Spring Creek Book Company. Not only that, but Chad was a regular on this very odd podcast called Preparing a People. This is pretty much a doomsday podcast. It's talking about the end times, how, the world's gonna come to an end. And obviously it's common for some people who are radicalized in their religion to talk about the end of the world, to talk about doomsday prepping or the rapture. And that's basically what this podcast was all about. Now, you can't actually go back and listen to these podcast episodes because every single episode that Chad was on has been deleted since this whole story has come out. So Chad is a typical kind of cult leader personality. He claims he has special abilities to talk to higher powers and get information that the rest of us just aren't being told. He also thinks he's a psychic and gets visions from the future, and they're not looking good. He said the world's gonna end and it's not gonna be good for the non-religious folk. They think that the end of the world is coming soon, like 2020 soon, July 2020 to be exact. So in June of 2015, Chad and his wife, Tammy, purchased a house in Salem, Idaho. And the reason that they did that was because Chad said he had a vision that he was supposed to move there. So they did. They packed up their 5 kids and moved to Salem. So then moving forward a little bit in time to 2017, Lori and Charles Vallow decided to actually leave Hawaii and move to Chandler, Arizona. So then fast forward again a year later to April 3rd, 2018. And this is when Lori's 3rd husband, Joseph, randomly dies of a heart attack. Moving forward in the year to December 5th, 2018, Chad and Lori actually meet up in person. Both of them came on that Preparing a People podcast for a few episodes. Lori was becoming increasingly more radical within her religion and really started believing in a doomsday. So she and Chad had quite a bit in common, and that's why they were on the podcast together. And this is when sparks just started flying. Fast forward a couple more months to February of 2018, Chad actually decides to file for divorce from Lori. It may have been because Lori was starting to spend a little time with Chad. We're not sure about that. But also Charles says that Lori was just completely off her rocker. Apparently at this point she was claiming to be God, had stolen $35,000 from his bank account and was threatening to kill him. So he was like, fuck this, I'm getting a divorce. So he filed. And what's so bizarre about this whole time is right after this, Lori goes missing. And not just for a week or 2 weeks or a month. She goes missing for 58 fucking days. She left Charles behind, and he claimed that he had no idea where she went or what she was doing, but she left behind her 2 kids, Tylee and JJ, with Charles. But eventually she came back, and there's a bunch of information that we're totally missing here. It'll be interesting to see how things come out over time, but something weird happened, and for some reason, Charles decided to cancel the divorce from Lori, and they start trying to work on their relationship again for a period of time. So now we need to talk about a woman named Melanie Bordeaux. Melanie is actually Lori's niece, and she's very similar to Lori in the fact that she believes in all of this doomsday stuff and is very radicalized. And she's married to a guy named Brandon Bordeaux. But in June of 2019, she randomly decided that she wanted to get a divorce. According to Brandon, he thinks Lori had something to do with this, or that, Melanie being introduced into Lori's whole world and what she was doing is what he thinks led her to leave him, because he said everything was fine in their relationship and suddenly she just bailed. He said he cannot figure out what in the actual relationship relationship went wrong, and he's just completely shocked that she actually filed for divorce. Now, around this same time, Lori also decides that it's not gonna work out with Charles, who has now given her multiple chances, and she just wants to go ahead and get divorced and be done with him. So they go their separate ways. So at this point, Lori and the two kids, Tylee and JJ, are living in a house by themselves that's being paid for by Charles Vallow, and he is living in his own place at the same time. Now, this is where shit really starts to hit the fan. In July of 2019, Charles went to Lori's house to pick up JJ. At this time, Lori's brother, who is named Alex Cox, I know, there's many characters here, I told you. Alex Cox is living with Lori, Tylee, and JJ. So when Charles came to the house to get JJ, apparently him and Lori got into a huge fight. Apparently JJ was already in the car when all this happened, but Tylee was in the house in her room. According to Lori's brother Alex, it got heated really fast. Lori and Charles were just going at it apparently, and eventually Tylee went and grabbed a metal baseball bat and was using it to defend her mom, or, you know, threatening to use it. But according to Alex, Charles took the bat from Tylee and just started wailing on Alex. So Alex said he ran, went to his room and got his gun and shot Charles in self-defense and killed him.
911, where is your emergency?
It's at 5531 South Four Peaks.
You need
Yes.
police or paramedics?
Both. I'm in police and an ambulance. I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense.
Okay, let me get the medics on the phone. And is he hurt or is he alive? Or
Yeah, there's blood. He's not moving.
how long ago did this happen?
A couple of minutes.
Fire department, what is the address of the emergency?
5531.
And what is the emergency?
I shot my brother-in-law.
Okay, what part of his body is injured?
In the chest.
I'm sorry, where?
In the chest.
Okay, is he awake and responsive or unconscious?
Unconscious.
Okay, is he breathing?
I can't tell.
Okay, are you willing to go over to him and check?
Sure.
Okay, do you just let me know if you see his chest going up and down? How old is he?
It's not moving. He's 60.
Okay, and are you wanting to start CPR?
No, I don't know how to do that.
I can walk you through it.
Okay.
Okay, what I want you to do is you're going to put one hand in the center of his chest.
Yeah.
The other hand's going to go right on top of it.
Okay.
You're going to interlock your fingers, keeping your arms straight, and you're going to press down hard and fast into his chest. You're going to go 2 inches down and fairly quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. PD, we're going to stage for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just keep going with those compressions. PD, did you have any other questions?
Yes, what's your name, sir?
My name is Alex. Last name is Cox. C-O-X.
And where are you in the house now?
In the living room.
And where is the gun?
It's in a bedroom.
Who else is there in the house with you?
Just me.
Okay, were you guys arguing when this happened?
Yeah,
And you said there's nobody else there, just you and him, correct?
correct.
I know that's confusing. No one was in the house at the time he is calling, but at the time of the actual incident, there were others in the house.
Was he armed also, or just you, or what happened there?
Yeah, he came at me with a bat. No, he lives in Houston.
He's what, married to your sister? Is she? Where is she?
Correct. No, I think she's taking her son to school.
Some officers should be there. Let me know when they get inside to you. Is the front door open?
Yeah. It's unlocked.
Have a seat.
Yeah.
Isn't that so bizarre? He's acting like he doesn't give a shit. Like he's not even being affected at all. Even if you didn't like this person that just died, wouldn't it still be a traumatic experience being attacked with a bat and then having to fight in self-defense? Like, wouldn't you at least be like a little out of breath or just a tiny bit of emotion? He's acting like he's calling and ordering a pizza.
So what you're seeing now is police body cam footage, and they released quite a bit. I put a lot in here. You can go ahead and skip to the timestamp on the screen if you don't want to watch it, but I thought it was interesting to see how Alex is reacting to the police and talking to them. Also, it's really important to understand this whole incident because many people believe that the reason Tylee and JJ are missing right now is because they were possibly witnesses to whatever happened here. And maybe Alex's story is not what actually happened.
Who else is in the house? Okay, just have a seat right there. Let's get FD in here. Have a seat.
Yeah. 18, seat secure. We got the gentleman out.
You have some ID on you, sir?
Yeah.
What happened today? How did it get to this?
I don't know. He was enraged.
What's going on? What happened? No, what happened today, though? Like, just in the last 20 minutes.
He came at me with a bat.
Okay. Was he living here or
No.
visiting?
He came to pick up his son.
Okay. Is the son inside?
No.
Okay. So it was just you at the house?
Yes.
And he came. How long? What time did he come to pick up the son?
I don't know, 20 minutes ago maybe. He was just yelling at me.
Okay. What was he yelling at you about?
About my sister because I've broken up a tussle with them earlier. And he told me not to interfere anymore with them or I'd pay. And he came at me with a bat.
Okay, so he showed up in the house with a bat in his hand?
No.
Okay, so...
There was a scuffle earlier with my sister and my niece. My niece got involved.
About earlier meaning earlier this week, earlier
No,
this morning?
just this morning, before they left.
Before your wife left?
My sister.
Before your sister left?
Yeah.
Okay, who lives here with you?
Nobody. I don't live here. My sister lives here and my niece lives here.
And you're just visiting?
I was visiting for the night.
Okay, so you're over here visiting your sister and your niece?
Yes.
Okay, and there was a tussle between your sister and her husband?
Yes.
And does the husband live here or no?
No.
Okay, is he an ex-husband or just current husband?
They're working on that.
Gotcha. So at some point earlier today, they get into some type of domestic?
Yeah, just this morning, then they left, and then he came at me.
They left meaning who? Both of parties?
Yeah, my sister took my niece and my nephew.
Did he leave also?
No.
He stayed here?
He stayed.
So you guys are kind of talking in between or what? Who are you? Who are you? No, just go back. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So it's just you and your brother-in-law?
Yes.
Okay.
And then he picked up the bat.
Where was the bat at?
In the living room.
So you get in an argument? What is it over?
Well, it was over my sister. He was getting physical with her, and so my niece came out with her bat, and he took the bat away from her.
Wait a minute, I thought you said your niece left.
She did. This is before.
So before your sister and your niece left,
yeah.
At some point your sister and her husband are arguing,
yeah.
And then your niece pulls out a bat?
Well, it wasn't verbal. He was getting close, and she came out to defend my sister.
Your niece?
Yes.
Okay.
And then she poked at him, and he took it away. I stepped in and told them they needed to separate.
Right.
So then my sister leaves with my niece.
And how long ago did they leave? It's been like an hour, 10 minutes?
20 minutes maybe, I don't know.
Okay. So not terribly long.
No.
Oh, okay. And where are you at? Where are you both
in the
at?
living room.
Okay.
And then I turned around, and he hit me in the back of the head with a bat. So I went to my room and got my gun.
You went to your room, meaning the room you're staying in?
Yeah.
Okay, and you brought a gun with you?
Yes.
Do you always bring a gun?
I have a concealed carry always.
Hi, who are you? Okay, just stand over there for just a second, guys. Walk me through it. So you go back into your room.
So I just went back to the living room. Like, what is your problem?
With the gun in your hand?
Yes. And I said, I want you to put that bat down. And he wouldn't do it. And he's like, and he came at me with the bat again after he'd already hit me in the head. So I shot him to stop him.
Okay, and then what happened?
That was it.
Okay. Gotcha. The wife just showed up.
Yeah, I'm going to get some tape to take this off.
Just think that for a second. Where's the weapon at now?
It's in the bedroom.
So after you shot him, you put it back in the room, or?
Yeah, I went back to the bedroom to get my phone.
Okay. And what'd you do with your phone?
Right here.
Okay. And then what'd you do once you put your gun back? Grabbed your phone?
I cleaned my head up.
After you, was he laying there in the living room?
Yeah, he was laying there still.
Guys, hang tight just for a second. Don't go in there. Partner, hang tight. Don't go in there just now, guys. It's now a crime scene, so hang tight. Okay, perimeter done. I'll just hold right here.
Okay.
You want to just grab that inside perimeter? Just out of curiosity, how long have you known him? Long?
Yeah, 15 years.
Is that how long they kind of been married, kind of thing? Do you normally have a good relationship with the guy?
Yeah, I did.
So did you sleep here last night?
Yeah.
So what time did you about wake up this morning?
About 6:30 or so.
Normal day this morning, wake up? Just you, your sister, niece?
Gonna go do something fun today.
Anybody else in the house besides you three this morning?
My nephew's at school.
Yes, he's the brother of the wife. And then you're staying with his sister. Okay. Does your husband live here or no? Oh. Gotcha. Okay. You guys got it. Gotcha.
So police actually muted a lot of this because Tylee is a minor and they didn't want to have that released to the public, but Dateline actually did release a few clips of Lori talking. And just notice how unbothered Lori is about her ex-husband being shot.
How long have you lived here?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
That's why the neighbors don't know us.
Gotcha.
Like, hi neighbor, sorry.
You would think police would think this whole thing is weird, but shockingly, police believed them, and ruled the whole thing as self-defense. And it's just so odd because if they had looked into what was going on with Charles and Lori, they would see that, you know, they were trying to get a divorce, that Charles had been trying to get her put into a mental institution because he was so worried about her mental condition. It's just odd that they didn't look into this background at all. Like most self-defense cases, especially when someone's acting as weird as Alex was on the phone, they'll look into it a little bit more, but they were just like, okay, cool, self-defense sounds good, moving on. And the strangest thing about all of this is that night, they decide to throw a pool party. That's right. The day that Lori's husband, the father of her son, JJ, dies, they decide to throw a pool party. Neighbors reported hearing loud music and that it seemed like someone was celebrating. Even if this is your ex that you absolutely hated, who the fuck throws a pool party on the same day that someone died at that house? Something's weird here. The next day, Lori decides that she is just going to text Charles's 2 sons and let them know that their dad died over text. And this is the message that she sent them. Hi boys, I have very sad news. Your dad passed away yesterday. I'm working on making arrangements and I'll keep you informed with what's going on. I'm not sure how to handle things. Just want you to know that I love you and so did your dad, Heart. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine getting that text message? No information about how he died or what happened. So they respond, Lori, what happened? Where is he and what happened? I'll call you when I can, bub. He's here in Arizona. Where in Arizona? When did all this happen? How's JJ doing? What funeral home is he at? Lori, what the fuck happened? You can't just tell us our dad died and then disappear. You're not too busy to just let us know he died and disappeared. Lori, it's been 3 hours. You're not that busy. I don't care what you're doing. And she responds by saying, I'm sorry that you're upset. I'm upset too. I'm trying to get JJ ready for bed. I'm waiting to hear back from the medical examiner to make sense out of all of this myself. Please be patient with me. It's a crushing situation all the way around. I'm still trying to processing it too, and what it means for JJ. When and where is the funeral? How did all this happen? I want an explanation. Question mark. 2 hours later. Question mark. I'm still working on arrangements, and I'm sorting things out the best I can. I'll let you know when I know. Why aren't you telling me what happened? I've asked numerous times. Just tell me. Question mark. Question mark. Okay, Lori, it's been 3 days. You let us know that our father passed away over a text message. 3 days and we haven't heard from anyone. The only information we have is that one text from you saying he passed away. You disappeared after that. We need any information you have. What happened? When did it happen? How did it happen? Where is he now? He was our dad and we loved him very much. We deserve answers. Also, why have you been the only one to contact us? We haven't heard from Colby or Tylee. I know they are affected too. I called Colby recently and he didn't answer. Is JJ safe and what does he know? I need to be kept in the loop about this all. This isn't a nonchalant topic you can just throw a text at and be done with it. To which she says, these are your dad's wishes. He and I discussed this a lot over the years we have been together. My plan is to have him cremated as he wished and then take all 5 of you kids to Hawaii to spread his ashes. He did not want a funeral. He wants a celebration of his life. I've been overwhelmed, but I'm going to try to start these arrangements today. JJ is doing good, but he does not know his daddy is gone. It's tough because he doesn't really understand. He says daddy's in California working. I know how much he loves you boys and always has. I have a lot of things to do with the business and contacting people, and it's still also difficult. Today I'm trying to put a memorial page on the funeral home website. I'll send you the link when I have it. I love you and so does your dad. To which he says, I appreciate this information, but I will ask these questions again because I still haven't been given an answer. What happened? When did it happen? How did it happen? Where is he now? Is there a funeral and when is it? Who have you told about his death? Give me all the information you have, please. My brother and I deserve to know. To which she just never replied. Eventually they said, well, if you won't answer those questions, can we please have his watches and other stuff he always talked about and had around? To which Lori says, of course. Still not acknowledging the fact that she's not telling them how their dad died. Send me the address you want me to send you stuff to. Kay is supposed to clean out the Houston house. I told her to let you and blank have whatever you want first. Then she could give the have or give the rest away. I I know he wanted you to have all that you want. And that's all we have from that conversation. I don't know if it continued any further. So then about a month after Charles died, Lori randomly decides to get rid of JJ's service dog. He had gotten a service dog named Bailey and was really enjoying having her. But Lori, for some reason, called the people who gave her the service dog, like the training company, and said that it wasn't working out and she needed to give the dog back. She didn't give any specific reason, but she did tell them that JJ's dad had passed away and that things were just crazy right now. So they thought this was really weird, but they took the dog back and placed her with a different family. So let's continue to go through the timeline. August 10th, 2019, JJ's grandmother Kay, who was very close with him, spoke with him on FaceTime. It was a really short conversation, everything seemed fine, but this was actually the last time that she would talk to JJ. Then in the following weeks after that, Lori, JJ, Tylee, Lori's brother Alex, and her niece Melanie all moved to Rexburg, Idaho. And Rexburg is not too far from Salem, Idaho, where Chad lives. And not only that, but Rexburg has a huge Mormon community. The only reason I know about Rexburg is because I've seen it on 90 Day Fiancé. I don't know how many of you watch that show, but there was a guy that was extremely religious and he was living in Rexburg, and they said like pretty much everyone that lives there is Mormon. So I looked it up and it turns out statistically 95% of this area is Mormon. So it makes sense of why they moved to this area. But what's weird is they all ended up moving into separate apartments in the same apartment complex, which is kind of weird for families to like. I'm sure some people do it. It's not that weird, but in this situation, it's a little weird, you know? So people that were living in the complex, like neighbors and stuff, say that they saw Tylee and JJ in the area, like outside and stuff. Some of the neighbors even said that JJ played with their son. So we know that they were for sure at this apartment complex. Then on September 8th, Lori, Tylee, and JJ all went on a day trip to Yellowstone National Park. And police were able to find pictures of Tylee from this day. And as far as we know, this is the last time that anyone saw Tylee. A lot of people have brought up that maybe they had some type of bunker, doomsday bunker, somewhere near this area, and that maybe after their hike, they went into it. It's just a theory, but people have thrown it out there. So then on September 17th, JJ was seen on a neighbor's Ring doorbell camera, so we can confirm that at that time he was at the house. But the last time that JJ was officially seen was on September 23rd at his school. The following day, the 24th, Lori goes to the school and unenrolls him from school and tells the people at the school that she's going to homeschool him from now on. They thought this was weird, but it's your right to do that. And you know, many people homeschool, but it was a little abrupt, they thought. So that's weird, but also Tylee was also not in school at the time, not even enrolled in high school, even though Lori claims now that Tylee had already graduated early somehow, which there's no proof of that. So then on October 1st, 2019, Lori had signed up for a self-storage unit. Now there's actually surveillance video of Lori at the storage unit, and at first most people thought that she was with Alex, her brother, in this video, but now a lot of people think it could possibly have been Chad, but at first it was believed to be Alex. So then on October 2nd, Brandon, who is Melanie's husband, if you remember, I know this is so confusing, okay? Just bear with me. So Brandon, just a normal day for him, he's driving home from the gym when he was shot with what the media first reported as a paintball gun. It was right as he was pulling into his driveway, and apparently it completely shattered the window of his car. And he claims that it missed his head by inches. And what's so strange about this is he didn't see who it was, but he did recognize the car that the person was in. It was a Jeep, and not just any Jeep, but Charles Vallow's Jeep. Now, if you remember, Charles Vallow died. So somebody has his Jeep. So at first Brandon thought that it was possibly Alex that shot at him, who is Lori's brother. But there's that security footage of Lori at the storage unit, and Alex claimed that he was the guy with her. So then a week goes by and it is October 9th. Tammy, Chad's wife that he has 5 kids with, is standing in the driveway of their Salem, Idaho house. She was just unloading her groceries when some masked man approached her and started shooting at her with what she thinks was a paintball gun. Tammy said that she freaked out, yelled for Chad, and that the man just ran away, and she reported the incident to the police. Then on the next day, October 10th, a Venmo payment was sent from Tylee to her brother Colby, who, if you remember, are both biologically related to Lori but have different fathers. And you know how in Venmo you can write like a little message about what your payment is about or send a message or whatever? She wrote, "We love you." And then 6 days later, on October 16th, another Venmo payment went through from Tylee to Colby, and this time all it had was a heart. And then a couple days after this, October 19th, Tammy, Chad's wife, randomly dies of unknown causes in her sleep. Her death was actually said to be from natural causes. Chad just said that she was coughing before she went to bed, went to sleep, and just never woke up. But the thing is Tammy was a completely healthy person. She had just visited with her family like a month before this and was doing sports and running around and seemed completely fine to them. She was only in her 40s. It just seemed really weird. And the craziest part about this is police actually figured out way later after all this happened that Chad was making statements to people saying that he thought that she was going to die, that he had predicted her death. If you remember, Chad thinks he's a psychic. He said he was having visions that this was going to happen. So Tammy's family decides that they do not want to do an autopsy on her for whatever reason, and they have her buried. And Chad got a pretty nice sized check for her death from her life insurance policy for $430,000. But police don't think anything is suspicious about this and take his word that she just died of natural causes. So then after Tammy dies, a couple days later on October 25th, one of Tylee's friends who lives in Arizona got a text message from her. And it was actually responding to something that she had sent like way before this. But all it said was, "Hi, miss you guys too. Love ya." And this was actually a response to a text that she had sent to Tylee on October 19th. So it had taken her like a couple days, 6 days or so to get back to her, which she thought was really out of character for her. And she also said that the message just didn't seem like Tylee wrote it. She said she normally spelled things out completely and that it just didn't sound like her. So then 2 weeks after Tammy died, Chad and Lori, newly single since both of their spouses have died in the last year, get married. Now they actually interviewed Chad's family to see what they thought of everything. And they said that when they had met Lori, they were under the impression that she had no kids and that according to Chad and Lori, that Tylee had passed away in 2017 and they knew nothing about JJ. And as time is going on, JJ's grandparents are getting really worried because Lori stopped communicating with them, and the last time that they had talked to JJ was in August on that FaceTime call. They kept trying to get in touch with them and just couldn't, so finally on November 26th, they called the police and asked for a welfare check to be done on JJ and Tylee. So this is when the police got involved with this whole case. They go to Chad and Lori's apartment, and Chad actually comes out to talk to them with Alex, Lori's brother. So they're standing outside talking to the police, and police are asking where the kids are. And this is when Chad starts to say that he doesn't even really know what's going on with Lori. He says he doesn't even know her that well and has no idea about any kids related to her, even though he is married to this woman.
I also want to note that some new information just came out after I filmed this, the day after I filmed, that the ring that Lori Vallow wore after her wedding to Chad Daybell was purchased more than 2 weeks before Tammy died. So they had planned to get married before she had even passed away. And then on October 2nd, she was also searching for wedding dresses.
He claimed that Lori wasn't home, so they asked for her phone number so they could contact her and talk with her. And Chad said that he didn't know her phone number because, again, he barely knows her. Alex ended up telling the police that JJ actually was staying with his grandparents in Louisiana, but police immediately knew that this was a lie because they had just been sent there by their grandparents who were concerned and wondering where they were. So police left this whole situation feeling like something is really off. Eventually, they finally get in touch with Lori, and she tells them that JJ is actually in Gilbert, Arizona, staying with a friend. So later on, they did look into this, and they found out that he definitely was not staying with this friend. The specific friend that she was talking about actually told police she hadn't seen JJ in years. So because the stories aren't matching up, they still have no idea where these kids are, and they're starting to be really concerned. They go back to Chad and Lori's apartment the next day. This was November 27th, and this time they had a search warrant. But when they went back to the house, Chad and Lori had already hightailed it the fuck out of there and went to Hawaii. Not guilty looking at all. So then, a few days later, November 29th, Alex Cox ends up marrying this woman named Zulema. And apparently she's some type of life coach, but she is very similar to Lori, that she believes all this doomsday stuff. Apparently her and Lori got along just great. and really liked each other and had, you know, plenty to talk about. And then a few days after this, Lori's niece, Melanie, also gets married to this guy named Ian Pawlowski. So a few days after this, December 1st, police figure out that Lori and Chad had gone to Hawaii. And it was confirmed that neither Tylee or JJ were with them based on the flight records. Then on December 6th, police actually got a call from the friend that Lori claimed JJ was staying with. And she said that Lori had called her and told her to lie to the police and tell them that JJ was in fact with her. So she was like, what the hell, no, and told the police. So at this point, police are like, something extremely weird is going on here. These kids are probably in danger. And as they start looking into this family and seeing all these strange, suspicious deaths that have gone on, they start to think that maybe something bigger is going on here. The one death that specifically stood out to them the most was Tammy's, because it was just so random. And with all this sketchy shit going on, they decided they needed to look back at that whole situation. So they had her body exhumed, and they did this so that they can do an autopsy, and we are still waiting for results on that. I'm not sure why it's taking so long, but they said that the results could take a year, so it's gonna be a long time before we know. And when they tried to look into the death of Joseph, who was Lori's third husband, the one who died from a heart attack, they were not able to do anything like that because he was actually cremated. So they didn't have anything to immediately arrest Lori and Chad, which a lot of people have been critical with, but I think they really wanted to kind of have all their ducks in a row and have the evidence before they filed formal charges. But they were definitely keeping a close watch on Chad and Lori while they were just, you know, doing their thing in Hawaii. At one point they checked into a resort, and the resort staff confirmed that they didn't have any kids with them. So then a few days after this, on December 12th, Alex Cox, Lori's brother, was found unresponsive on his bathroom floor in his apartment back in Arizona. And this is so weird because he and this new woman, Zulema, had only been married for a week and a half. Now, according to police, they are in the same boat with Tammy when it comes to Alex, because the autopsy results are gonna take a really long time. There still hasn't been anything to come out. So then finally, on December 20th, police made a formal announcement to the public telling everyone that Tylee and JJ had been missing. This is right around the time that you guys started sending me links on this, and I just thought it was so weird. So then the new year comes, January 3rd, 2020, and police performed a full search on Chad's house that he used to live in with Tammy.
They're on the phone with somebody.
Used to live in with Tammy, and they ended up taking a ton of items out of the house, including cell phones, different documents, computers, etc. Then 2 days later, on January 5th, Colby, who is Lori's son from another marriage, uploaded a YouTube video basically begging his mom Lori to bring JJ and Tylee back safe.
You have an opportunity to put this all to rest. I know that it's hard maybe for you, maybe it's something you don't want to do, I don't know. I really, really want to see Tylee and JJ. I really want this to be over.
On January 7th, JJ's grandparents held their own press conference and announced that there would be a $20,000 reward for the children's return.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Larry Woodcock, my wife Kay Woodcock, and we are here to speak about the two missing children, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. The main topic of this conversation today is the reward that we are posting. There's a $20,000 reward. I have a tendency to get very emotional when I talk about the children. I get extremely emotional when I talk about JJ. JJ is my heart. And I'm hoping that this will allow one person to simply say, I know where he's at, and give us that information so that we can bring JJ and we can bring Tylee back if they're here. No matter where they're at in the United States. We're here to offer a $20,000 reward.
So a few weeks went by. Police actually served Chad and Lori with a court order that requires Lori to provide physical evidence that Tylee and JJ were safe and well. The next day on January 26th, the police pulled Chad and Lori over in their rental car and seized it. And in the car, they found both JJ and Tylee's birth certificates. They also found JJ's school registration, his iPad. They also found Tylee's debit card and realized that there were charges on it that were made between that time and when she was last seen in September. So who was using the card? Around this time, police ended up searching Chad and Lori's current apartment, and they realized that there were no items in the apartment that a kid would have. There was no trace of either of them having stayed there, so they believed they never were with them. And they also realized that JJ was on a medication that he needed to take every single day, and it hadn't been filled for 9 months. So Lori, of course, failed to produce the children in court.
The day ended as it started, like every day since September 23rd. No sign of Lori Vallow's kids. That court-ordered deadline defied, and it's unclear what happens now.
And then on February 3rd, a journalist actually went to the storage unit that Lori was caught on camera, putting stuff in the unit with some unknown man. And it turns out that the storage unit was unpaid and abandoned, so they could access it. This is when they found a bunch of clothes, personal items, pictures, and other things that belonged to JJ and Tylee. There was nothing like a body or anything in there. For a while, people were starting to think that they stored them in there, but no, there was just items. So then finally on February 20th, police have enough to arrest Lori, and they do.
Today, police arrested Lori Vallow in Hawaii.
Officers on the Hawaiian island of Kauai announced Lori Vallow has been arrested on a warrant out of Idaho. Vallow is facing a slew of charges, including abandoning her children, 7-year-old Joshua and 17-year-old Tylee Ryan. She is being held on $5 million bond.
She is officially being charged with 2 counts of dissertation and non-support of dependent children. She's also being charged with resisting or obstructing officers, criminal solicitation to commit a crime, and contempt of court. And her bond was set at $5 million, so they were clearly worried that she would leave if they set it any lower. And her whole attitude the entire time she's been incarcerated is like she just doesn't care. There's court footage of her where she just doesn't seem that worried. Now, a lot of people brought up the fact that this is probably because she thinks the world is going to end in July. And with the way things are looking nowadays, just kidding. But that's what Lori and Chad believe. They believe the world is coming to an end, so I think they've had this really non-serious approach to all of this and are just acting like whatever about it because they think everything's gonna go to shit anyway. So Chad, on the other hand, wasn't arrested. They have no proof that he did anything wrong. But he has been questioned heavily during the time that Lori was arrested.
Are the kids okay? Can you tell me? I just can't comment.
This morning, Chad Daybell breaking his silence to ABC News.
Is there anything that you would like to say to people at all who are, number one, concerned about the kids or concerned about you and your wife? Anything at all you want to say to them?
Grateful for any support. We just have to wait for the legal process to work through.
Daybell refusing to answer questions about the whereabouts of his missing stepchildren, 17-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old JJ Vallow.
And can you tell me, Mr. Daybell, are the kids okay?
On Monday, Daybell was spotted visiting the Hawaii jail, where his wife Lori Vallow is being held on a $5 million bail.
Lori Ryan.
Vallow, seen in this recently unearthed video, competing for Mrs. Texas in 2004, facing possible extradition to Idaho and criminal charges related to the disappearance of her children last September.
I hope there is justice, and I hope the children are found.
This could be taken care of very easily.
Where are the kids?
Why don't you just say where the kids are?
On March 4th, Lori appeared in Kauai court for the last time before she was extradited on March 5th to Rexburg, Idaho. Lori made her first official court appearance in Rexburg on March 6th, and the judge actually did reduce her bail to $1 million, which she's still not able to post bail for, so she's still in jail, thankfully. She did try to reach out to a bunch of different bail bond companies, but none of them want to work with her because they're worried that she's going to leave, that she'll post bail and go into hiding, and then they will be out of $1 million. So she has not been able to post bail. She won't be able to, and she's still in jail. So they are moving towards a trial, but But on March 13th, the judge actually removed himself from the case, which is very weird. Apparently this was requested by Lori's defense team. A new judge was assigned to the case, and as of right now, we are waiting for the next hearings to start in May. But Lori's 2 attorneys have actually withdrawn from the case in the last week. So I'm not sure who's gonna be defending her. I'm sure she'll find someone, but it's interesting that so many people have taken themselves out of this case. Now, really recently, Brandon Bordeaux, the one who was married to Melanie and was shot outside of his house with a paintball gun, he actually has come forward recently and said that he thinks that it was Alex Cox that did it and that he now has proof. He hasn't been able to show the evidence that it was Alex though, because he's in an ongoing court battle right now with Melanie, trying to get divorced from her, and he can't talk about certain things, but he claims he does have proof that it was Alex that night that shot him. So that would mean that it wasn't Alex at the storage unit and that it was probably Chad. I'm sure a ton more information is gonna come from Brandon in the future because he actually had hired his own private investigator for all this, and he claims back on October 31st, his private investigator saw that Alex was helping Melanie pack up all of her stuff, fill it into a giant U-Haul, and left with her, and that they had left a bunch of stuff outside, like toys, mainly kids stuff that they wouldn't need anymore, out on the road with a sign that just said free. So clearly they weren't too concerned about much. I think what we're starting to realize is all these people think the world is ending soon. So they don't care about stuff or what the police think or what the public thinks. Brandon also has stated that he thinks that Melanie has more information about what happened to JJ and Tylee. Brandon has claimed that Melanie was part of a cult now. So if she was part of a cult, it's probably a cult with Chad, Lori, Alex, and the rest of them. It's starting to look like they were all part of a cult. And he specifically said that in this cult that numerous members have been killed off like flies. And then most recently, a letter written by Ian Pawlowski, who is Melanie's husband. Remember, she just married this guy? And in this letter, he states that Melanie told him that Chad and Lori told her that Tylee and JJ had become possessed and were zombies.
Zombies are human bodies that have had their original spirits forced from them and have been possessed either by a demon or a disembodied spirit. Melanie was concerned that Lori believed Tylee and Joshua needed to die, and she stated that she was worried that Al may have taken care of the kids. Al is Alex Cox, Lori Vallow's brother, and the man who shot and killed Lori's last husband and was convicted of assaulting the husband before that.
They don't look at it as murder. They're looking at it as saving people that they care about. As the court documents stated, that they believed their children had turned into zombies, so it was their duty to kill them.
Sadly, I can see this being a total possibility. When we did our podcast on this before all of this other information had come out, I really was starting to think that maybe Lori and Chad had a doomsday bunker somewhere and that they were just keeping Tylee and JJ, you know, protected and safe and in the bunker. And in a way, that's kind of wishful thinking to hope that they're safe in a bunker somewhere, but as time goes on, it's starting to look less and less likely, especially with these new details about what Melanie was saying, that they were zombies and that they may have had to take care of them. And you know, with all this pressure on Lori, it seems like she probably would have brought the kids out of hiding if that were the case by now. Of course, it's still possible that they are out there, and police are looking in Yellowstone National Park, hoping to maybe find something. And so far, we have no idea what they have found because they're not releasing their findings. The grandparents of JJ are just absolutely heartbroken over all this. All they want is answers. They just want to know where he is and if he's safe. They're just shocked that Lori has become involved in this cult and that she's changed completely. They said that they just don't know who this person is anymore and that she had a drastic personality change when she met Chad. So that's kind of where we're at this point. Obviously, JJ and Tylee are still missing. I wanted to put out descriptions of them just in case someone happens to see them. JJ is 7 years old with brown hair and brown eyes. He's 4 feet tall and weighs 50 pounds. Tylee is 17 years old with blonde hair and blue eyes. She's 5 feet tall and weighs 160 pounds. Anyone with information regarding the whereabouts of these children are asked to contact the Rexburg Police Department at 208-359-3000 or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, at 800-THE-LOST. I will do updates on Twitter, and if anything huge happens, I'll put it on the community tab. And then eventually, hopefully I can make an update video and and kind of fill in some of the blanks and make a little more sense out of all this. But for now, this is what we have. I want to know your theories. I want to know what you think happened. Let me know in the comments below. But before I go, I wanted to finish telling you guys about Raycon. As you guys know, some earbud brands are really, really expensive, and that's why I love Raycon. They start at half the price of other premium wireless earbud brands. They're really comfortable, they have multiple size options, and that ensures that they stay in your ear. They come in a tiny little pill-shaped case, and what's so awesome is they charge right in there. So you can take them with you on the go, in your purse. The pair that I'm using are the Everyday E25s, and they have 6 hours of continuous playtime. Seamless Bluetooth pairing, a more compact design, and they come in new colors. Go to buyraycon.com/Kendall Rae to get 15% off your order. Be sure to give this video a like on your way out. It does help me out quite a bit. But that is it for me today, guys. I hope you're all staying safe, staying clean, wash your hands, and I will see you guys next time.
Where'd you go? Seems like it's been forever.